Hey guys, I'm just recording this video to go over my thoughts on the top tier right now. And I think there's a big problem with top tier right now. Number one being Russia, or Soviet Union, whatever you want to call it, is ridiculously overpowered. Not because they have great tanks or anything, but the way the modeling in the game is done. So they have T-72B, T-72 1989, T-72B3, which is ridiculously overpowered. T-80B, T-80U, and T-64B. That's 6 tanks that have the Mango Shell. Now, Mango Shell, by all means, is probably the least powerful of all of the top tier shells, but it gets the job done. It can still pen all the hulls of all NATO tanks at pretty much any range. So that's the problem right there, where the NATO tanks can only pin your weak spots. So yeah, for T-64B, sure, T-80B, or the older T-72, that's it. Other than that, you can't pen any of the hulls. You have to aim for weak spots, and you have to aim for a cannon breach, or you have to aim for the driver port. And still, sometimes the shells don't do what they're supposed to do. The ammunition won't go off, or it just blackens, or the driver eats the whole fucking shell. Excuse me. Number two, helicopters. So they have the Mi-28, Ka-52, Ka-50. Now, Ka-50 is very easy to get, and honestly, I think they've sold so many of them that pretty much everybody has at this point. Ka-50 is all right. You know, they can still spam Vickers, which is the best anti-tank, anti-everything missile in the game at the moment. You can kill aircraft with it. It works with proximity. You can kill other helicopters 10 kilometers out. So you spawn in a Viper or whatever, and they spawn in a Ka-50. You're running for your life. Because as long as you're in 10 kilometer range, they can kill you from 10 kilometers away while you have nothing that can counter that. On top of that, they can spawn with Tiny Tims in the beginning of the match. So Mi-28 and Ka-52 are the most broken helicopters in the game at the moment. I know about the Eurocopter, and I know about those fire and forget missiles, and I've seen there's a way to counter them. But these things are broken. Then we have Tunguska. Tunguska by no means is overpowered or anything, but is one of the best anti-air systems in the game. It can disable any tank frontally with literally like 5 seconds of fire focused on the front of the tank. You can disable the tracks, their gun barrel, whatever. And in that part, Tunguska takes the win. And then, you can come to the side to kind of take a tank out. But Tunguska is very, very good anti-air. Now, do bear in mind, NATO helicopters need to be in a close proximity to the other tanks or the battlefield in order to get the Hellfires in on time. Actually, Hellfires don't work, so good luck. Now, going back to NATO tanks. So we have Germany. The best tank is Leopard 2A5. Yes, it's a good tank, 100%. But over the nerfs that has been done, like the thermals taken away, now it's back to Gen 1 thermals because reasons. And, because of realism. Yeah. And then, but the problem here is Leopard 2A5 only has DM33, which can only pin about 3 of those tanks that I mentioned earlier with the Russian. They can only pin the hull of those 3 tanks. The rest of the tanks, you're aiming for weak spots. And the Russian tanks, all 6 of them, can shoot you through the hull. No problem at any range with the Mango Shell. That is one of the main problems we have at top tier right now. USA, we have 2 tanks. We have M1A2 and M1A1. M1A2 is a good tank. Has a decent shell, but again, can only pen 3 tanks. Rest of the tanks, you have to aim for weak spots. And the Russian tanks can still pin your hull. They can just basically kill you very easily compared to you have to aim for the weak spots, and that's one of the main problems. Gen 1 thermals, by the way. M1A2, Gen 1 thermals. Realism. T-80B has thermals, actually, so which it never had, so okay. And then we have France, Leclerc. That is the only tank that's actually fun to play with the Gen 2 thermals. 6-second reload autoloader, 22 rounds, but has no armor. The hull is basically paper, just like other NATO tanks. And you have to still play it wisely. And if you lose that tank, you have nothing to come back. AMX-40 is whatever. Italy, we have the Ariete and the PSO. And then we have the pre-production. all three good tanks. They have decent shells. The pre-production being having DM33, you can still kill 3 of those tanks, and the other 2 having the CL143 or whatever, which is the most powerful shell in the game. It works great. You can kill all these tanks except for T72B3, I suppose, from the front anymore because the ridiculous armor on those things. Anyway, so these are the few points that needs to be fixed. Either there needs to be better shells invented for the NATO tanks so they can actually pen frontally as well. And, you know, because they can be penned frontally as well. That only makes it fair. Previously, it was the mobility part. Now, T80U, T80B, and the T72B3, they're pretty good in mobility. So they have 3 tanks that are very good in mobility. 2 of them are very good in armor, and all 3 of them have the best shell Russia has to offer in the game, which can hull pen all NATO tanks. This doesn't seem balanced to me. And number 2, helicopters. There needs to be something done about the helicopters. You can't have one nation with completely overpowered helicopters where they can spam all these missiles that have 10-kilometer range, and they can kill aircraft, they can kill whatever. They don't even have to carry air-to-air missiles. They can just use the air-to-ground missiles to kill other planes and helicopters, which is completely unfair. It shouldn't be like that. And this is my 2 cents for now, and I'll see you guys in the next one.